Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It is the 4th Tuesday and somebody shit the bed. What happened? I'm coming. Oh, hold up. Let's fix that right there. Look at this decline from 80 to 60. Yeah, that's a pretty big decline there. And finally below that, 4170. I don't know if it really matters anymore, but that was like a spot gamma level, so I'm not entirely sure what that is. I'm going to come back here. That is such a big move. I'm going to come back here. I don't see anything really on CNBC. The stock futures decline after a solid start to May. Tech sales shares set to fall. Yeah. Don't got anything there. There's got to be like a news catalyst for that, no? Chinese military aircraft entered Taiwan's ADIZ on May 4th. This is a 3-day tick chart of the S&P futures. Notice the reaction to this headline. Are they really reacting to the China headline? That would be kind of bizarre because this is not the first time that has happened, and that is like a really outsized reaction to that. Perhaps, though, further headlines of that nature could push us. So, Well, anyways, let's come back and check out the rest of the markets, shall we? So here in the volume profile, again, E-mini just totally taking out this support area, the 4170-ish spot gamma support zone. You know, now that we're past that gamma has expired, you often see declines. So we could be seeing that. Note also that the low caps are just getting slaughtered. Oh, no, wait. Is it? I forget which one. Hold up. Okay, so RTY down spot 7, NQ down spot 87%. So in the treasuries, yesterday we saw a pretty big move up in the treasuries. I was really quite surprised. Now they came back quite a bit, and now here overnight we're getting another move like this. Okay, oil up overnight. Ooh, that was looking good. 65.50. Okay. And now gold and silver. So it's coming back a little bit there, just a little bit. Silver's still above that support, so I'm happy about that. Copper sideways. And the dollar seeing a recovery last night after getting hit pretty hard yesterday. So this is the environment we are in. It is risk off at the moment. Indexes are fairly active for this early in the session. Let's come in here to Discord, see what they're saying in there. I see somebody weird because I've seen lots of these notices in the news since the beginning of the year, including one a few weeks ago. So that whole setup is just really interesting to me. Okay, so we should turn on our robots. Turn on text-to-speech. How you doing? Win, posting tons of stuff. Bearing glass, try blaming. They're blaming the Chinese military. Okay, yeah, okay. It's really weird, don't you think? Well, sometimes this happens though. This is not the first time I've seen something like this happen, where it's like you get a headline and it happens all the time and they're like, no big deal. But then one day, just because of like coincidence, like it was early in the day, liquidity was already light, yada, 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 yada. And all of a sudden after that, that headline is always a big deal and subsequent headlines also have an impact. So we could see that. Yeah. We depend on Taiwan for our chips. By dominating the outsourcing of chip production, Taiwan is potentially the most critical single point of failure in the entire semiconductor value chain. Yes. Well, so you got to remember that there's a certain level of component. I think it's a certain kind of wafer that basically Intel and all of these other guys have been getting from TSMC. So without TSMC and the others in Taiwan making that, then you got like this roadblock for everything else. So that's basically what that's about, to be more specific. While the E-mini declining a little bit more there. Oh, I need to come over here. Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Let me blow my nose here. Scathing article on Italy Prime Minister Mario Super Gaffs Draghi questioned his reputation for competence. Both SPY and QQQ remain in negative gamma territory, which implies higher relative volatility, says Spot Gamma. Okay, so maybe the 4170 matters. Maybe it still matters. Not sure that it matters anymore. Fix that. Okay. So interesting. Paul Krugman, maybe this time will be different, but we'll need some real evidence. Rising lumber prices, etc., are more or less irrelevant to the important question, and central banks that have reacted to inflation blips have been uniformly sorry in the past. Well, that's true. He is right. You start tightening. As soon as you start tightening, it's a problem. But I don't know. One could maybe argue that that decline was inevitable. I was going to say these are pretty uniform here. So I'm going to reset that. Bring up my controls here. Bitcoin's still a little bit of a decline overnight too. You sold all your Dodge yesterday? Did they go? I would, if I were you, I would just stop worrying about random moves that nobody can predict. They're pretty good. They're at 36%. They're at 53 cents. My goodness. They're really, do you think they're really going to get to $1? I don't know. Well, so what does this bring them to? $68 billion? Which ranks them fourth? Oh, I didn't know Binance Coin was number 3. I'm sorry, man. This is getting a little ridiculous. Okay, so sure, to beat out Ethereum and Bitcoin, you've got to get above 100 billions. You got to be like 300, 400 billion to beat out Ethereum. and $1 trillion to beat out Bitcoin. That's not going to happen. But to get there, they would be at like 150 billion to get to $1. You'd be a multi-million. No way. You had that much at the bottom? Well, so another thing that you've got to understand is that it kind of requires selling to move up. Does that make sense? Like, oh my gosh. I can't hear. Have I taught you nothing? Look at this FOMO here. Oh, I sold it. I'm still poor. Dude, you can't predict that shit. You cannot predict that stuff. It's random. And quite frankly, it's a fat tail. It's some sort of fat tail. It's going to end badly. Okay, yeah. So you held it. Maybe you're still holding it. And then tomorrow it completely crashes. Like, that could happen, right? And then you'd really feel bad, right? Because then you made $1 million and you lost it. That's what happens to most people in the crypto sphere, by the way. That's how it happens. They all get in at the top and then they get dumped on. Although Dodge must be something a little bit more, though, because it seems to me like the public already got in. So where's the money coming from? You know what I mean? Good morning, Nick Patel. Don't you worrying about missing out on something? You don't need to worry about missing out on something. You know, yeah, there's Dogecoin. There's like 100 other small cap coins that will do something like that. Okay. There will always be other opportunities. What you need to worry about is taking on excessive risks that take you out of the game. That's what you should be worried about. Boom, 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 boom. Anyways, it seems like quiet to me. Like, I look at it and it's like, well, it hasn't really moved yet. But I mean, look, the order books are active. The order books are active today. What's this? Tucker Carlson reported that McCarthy rents space in Luntz's Penn Quarter penthouse, questioning whether that arrangement is allowed. McCarthy's staff confirmed their roommate status in a statement to the network, though wouldn't say how much he pays in rent. That's besides the point, Art Carlson argued. Now you know why they listen to Frank Luntz, but they don't listen to you. Adding to the intrigue, Carlson noted that Luntz and McCarthy's odd couple arrangement was not something he just stumbled upon his own, but was leaked to Fox by a knowledgeable unnamed source. To summarize, the star of Republicans' network of choice is being fed opposition about and is denouncing the man who wants to be Speaker of the House. Not good for McCarthy, who, if the GOP takes back the House, will need 218 votes to secure the gavel. Remember what happened the last time he went for it? Yeah, that is interesting. NQ outlook, well, NQ seems to be underperforming today. So there was this whole China headline. I guess that's affecting us. We did just bounce up there. I was thinking about 60, but nah, it's fine. That one I didn't really have enough support. Like, it wasn't active enough for me to really believe that one was going to happen. But clearly, because we're below this 4170 area, we're going to have increased volatility. So you get moves like that. NQ is also suffering, though, because a lot of these lockdown stocks are giving back their gains. Things are going back to normal, and so some of those stocks are coming back as well. So that's kind of how it's going. Bloomberg reports Goldman Sachs plans to have U.S. employees return to offices next month. Okay. Tether is now available on Coinbase. That is such a bad idea. Okay. You realize what that means, right? It's another onboarding spot to Coinbase, and you can now come in and, you know, print Tether and send it directly to Coinbase and pump things up that way. I am looking, you know, I keep looking at, you have to go and read my notes on the Patreon if you really want to get like more insight into what I see going on in the crypto space. But I do not see this stopping in May. Maybe after May, but I think that we may be in store for some real insanity here in the crypto space in the next month. And when I say insanity, I really mean like rampant fraud moves that just simply shouldn't be able to happen. Chauvin juror on attending protest. I just thought it was a good opportunity to be a part of something. Yeah, yeah. That whole case. Have you heard about this? The juror, one of the jurors from the Chauvin trial, is basically been making comments, essentially supporting BLM and so forth. Basically, calling into question how he was even still on the jury. Basically. It undermines the whole case. I don't know how much of a probability that means that like they'll overturn it, but there's going to be a real crazy court fight over that. And then if they do overturn it, holy crap, that's going to be a mess. Fix my nose there. Oh yeah, I forgot that we did have news at the bottom of the hour. Let's see here. What was it? It's a balance of trade and exports and imports and exports. We did get at 10 o'clock factory orders and so forth. So that one could matter, because remember yesterday it was kind of like the whole what is the word with stagflationary ISM prints. Apple Watch to monitor blood pressure, blood sugar, and alcohol levels in the future. Wait, how does an Apple Watch monitor your blood sugar? Is it going to prick me? Or blood sugar monitors without fingerprints. And what to know, exit. Detect glucose through interstitial fluids in skin tissues. It sounds like it is possible to measure your blood sugar without a pinprick. So maybe they can do it. Maybe we'll get, it is kind of funny. It's one of those things that's like Apple's doing really great with the Apple Watch and they're putting a lot into it. And it seems like they're being successful with it, but I'm not really seeing anybody like really, really trying to compete with them. You notice that? Like I don't see the Samsung watch that's like better and everything like there normally would be. Treasuries continue moving up there, by the way, taking 13.5. MBT ticker for Mike. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's well, let's come back and try that again, shall we? And come in and I'll do the download instruments and just do like a full reload on like everything. Get rid of all of the expirations we don't need anymore. Oh yeah, well we've been talking about that one. Wynn asks, did you read this morning that Bill Gates plans to divorce? We were discussing that in Discord last night after our standard argument about whether technical analysis works, and I'm really surprised. I don't get when you're at that age. Like, it just makes zero sense to me. You're that old. You've been together for like 20 years. And now all of a sudden you want a divorce. Like, what is it that is not... what is going on? What is it that is you need a divorce? Especially if you're rich. Like, come on. I mean, yeah, she can take half of it, but the divorces always take assets, right? You always lose assets in divorce. You would have more if you just stayed together, right? And they have so much. What is it that she would want to do that you wouldn't, so it can't be that. It can't be they would just want to see other people. I just don't get it. Reloading at 13.5. They gonna bust through this 14 now? Let's see, MB. Nope, I still don't get it. Rhythmic, what's the problem? I get the regular Bitcoin futures, just not MBTC. Well, let's see here. Maybe it just doesn't start with a B. She wants to start an OnlyFans there. I don't think so. Oh, that's a good question. Do I get the Ethereum ones? ETH? So why do I get Bitcoin but not Ethereum? Maybe she is tired of being controlled and managed, such as the way they say he is trying to rule the world. Maybe she knows he's evil. No. 7,000 volume on micro Bitcoin futures yesterday, by the way. Like, that's a big iceberg at 13.5. In this particular situation, I'm not too sure that I can play that one. Let's see if they go. 14. It looks like you would have at least gotten filled. There you go. That's what you want. Yeah. Cool. So it is still up. Is my gold moving? Yes. Gold is moving. It's not the highs of the day yet, but it does appear that the whole complex is moving up. Gold up, silver up, Japanese yen up. Even the euro up a little bit. Dollar, trending down. I don't understand why I don't get... I just don't get it. That's the Clearport is ETH. Oh. All of the codes are ETH. Epic CEO, Game CEO slams Apple fees as unfair. That's just the same headline as yesterday, but rehashing it so that you can get more views. He's stacking at 14 now. That could be a reversal there. You need to be careful with these spots because when you see reloading like you got at 13.5, okay, it's like a 50-50 as to whether it goes up or not, but it does tend to be a critical juncture. It just kind of depends on what day it is, largely. Like if it is a trend, then it's going to go through it, and if it's not, then it reverses. And it is not uncommon to see a reload like that, and then afterwards it reverses. Looks like for now they're ticking up still. And they could see 132.16, huh? What was the top of yesterday? 132.16. That's correct. Okay, so they may be making a push for yesterday's high. There sure is a lot of volume there. There sure is a lot of volume up in there. Need to think here. I feel like I'm missing something. Factory orders today. Trade balance, factory orders. The trade balance numbers were pretty much in line, though. Yeah, I mean, the trade deficit is bad, but the actual was close to what the forecast was. Ninja Trader sent me an ad just to trade. Well, yeah, like here's the thing is, why do you think they're adding the micro Bitcoin futures, man? It's because they want you to trade it. Just remember, your broker, the exchange, they don't make money based on whether or not it's wise for you to trade something. They just make money on if you trade it. Micro Bitcoin futures sounds like a great way. Sounds like a great way to try and entice people, right? Maybe I can get Ethereum futures to show up in NinjaTrader? I can. So why does it show up in ETH? Like I get the data, although that's a little sparse. That might just be because it's really so ridiculously thin. So I get the data. How come I'm not seeing it in Jigsaw? Maybe I need to download the latest update. There is an update. Okay. The Jigsaw chat. In the meantime, over here, if I start another chart, MBT, it shows up 1 minute. Okay. Also shows. Super Dom. Shows. Well, the liquidity is terrible. Oh my. Well, that is bad. Who wants to trade that, guys? You want to get that one? No thanks. Ethereum too. I don't know, man. There's some opportunity there. Like, if you can sit in the queue and you can do spreading, it'd be a tough one, but I think you could spread between Ethereum and Bitcoin and maybe make some money. But we definitely need to be able to narrow things. Wonder what took CME so long for this. Think about it. Well, for one thing, it does take time to like list something, and they are pretty slow and intentional, right? Like when you look at the schedule and all of that of like the times that new instruments came out, I think it's in line. You know, in 2017 they did the Bitcoin futures, and then they did the Ethereum futures, and now they've got the mini Bitcoin futures. I'm sure though that it really seems to me like the micro Bitcoin futures is just a cash grab, you know. Andrew, good morning. Welcome back. Okay. So let me log into Jigsaw here and see. Maybe there's a change. There was a newer version that I didn't grab. It's a 1113. Remove auto start from registry. Remove HTML chart. FP stats not populating. Depths and cell center line cannot be switched off. TPO letters. Charts moving right on their own. FP charts bouncing. Not able to place new order on depths and cells without canceling old OCO. Chart opens with blink screen. Workspace glitch. Charts keep coming back. Colors can now be set for LTQ and volume profile. Nothing that would suggest that we should be able to see Bitcoin like that. Okay, Treasuries take another tick up. Anyways. Oh yeah, it's May the 4th. I didn't even think about that. It's Star Wars Day. My parents' first date was Star Wars. You know what happened? My wife lied to me about Star Wars. She's like, "Oh yeah, we used to watch that all the time with my brothers and sisters." She's watched Star Wars. Okay, like she's been in the room for every Star Wars movie, I'm sure, but she does not actually watch Star Wars. You know what I mean? She doesn't really enjoy it. She thinks she's one of those types that's like, that's a boy thing. Like if it seems remotely geeky or boy, then she's not interested. Like her brain just automatically shuts off with unconscious. I saw Star Wars when it first came out on a day. It's a soy thing? What? So I'm a little nervous about if I get filled here at 15. That's why I'm trying to pay like really close attention to it. Okay, so that was acceptable. But not optimal. see, like that right there. That's exactly what I was worried about. I knew it was going to happen, and I did it anyways. I should have like because it ticked down and everything, I should have just gotten out, huh? I should have been like, no, that was a bad fill. Get out. Okay, well, they let me out. That was a break even, right? Yeah. Okay, they let me out break even. We're okay. We'll see if they go into 15.5 or not. But this is a bad fill. I didn't like that. Okay, so coming back to here. Maybe there's like a, let's see here. There's something. There's got to be something I got to do because it should show up. Like I can get it to show up over here. I should be able to. Well, anyways, put a message here in Jigsaw chat. We'll see if anybody responds. I know it's been a little. Okay, so that 15's still offer. And they're willing to trade it back and forth, but you see there, it's like, so for instance, they hit it and then they stacked a little bit more on it. You'd feel better if you'd gone short. Like if we had gone short there in that spot, I think we would have gotten filled, right? And look at ZB leading them higher. I was thinking earlier about the Dogecoin thing. They were saying, oh, I'd be a multimillionaire now. And I'm like, 0.002, no. How much would you have had to have put in? maybe if you'd been in 2017. So 100,000, 10,000. I guess if you had bought $10,000 worth of Dogecoin, then you'd be a millionaire. Awfully risky, huh? That ZB is just reaching, isn't it? Dragging them along. There you go. Okay, so there's new high and some stop outs at 16.5. I think I can buy that, to be honest with you. Because there's this big order at 05, right? The 5 and the 30 are going to drag through it to fill it.
Block buy.
Boom. Okay. Wow. Did you see that? 23.95 traded into 17.5 on that. Somebody just hit that with like 6K. Do you feel crypto has any long-term value? Yes, actually. So I believe that the ability to make a transaction is valuable. I believe the ability to program in conditions into your transaction is really valuable. And I think that there's a lot of things that you can do with this technology that will really revolutionize the world of finance and economics. Imagine what it will be like when we have the digital dollar. And we're going to be able to go in and do metrics on every transaction in the economy, right? Like we can go and we can categorize every address and we can pull out these numbers and we can know. It won't just be like survey data. We will be able to come in and say like, this is how much money has been deposited by paychecks and all of these things. Like there's so much that you can do with it. It's absolutely valuable. Okay. But I tell you what's not valuable. Number one, an artificial currency that is disconnected from any government, that's not valuable. The whole reason that you want to use a government, there are advantages to that, okay? There's the strength of the economy, the way that they manage the currency. Those are all valuable things. Otherwise, people would just use gold. Otherwise, people would just be using gold. They don't use gold. Why? Because they would rather be in the fiat, right? So like the whole premise of Bitcoin itself seems to be flawed, right? Cryptocurrency, the blockchain technology is great, but it as a currency, its own currency, I think is flawed. And the way that it's been implemented in Bitcoin is also flawed. I probably should have scratched that one too, because I should have gotten the fill at 17.5 and I didn't. Anyways, the other issue is that this space is unregulated. So there's stuff going on over there that looks like outright fraud to me. What Tether it's fraud. Like straight up, it's fraud. They are claiming that they have the original premise for Tether was that you deposit dollars and we keep those dollars. They don't. They've been using that money. They're printing tethers. They're buying cryptocurrencies and then using those cryptocurrencies as the backing for their Tether. And then, so if everybody that owned Tether decided to cash out at the same time, they would not be able to. There's not enough dollars for everybody to cash out at the same time. And the cryptocurrency market would go down. Their reserves would not match up what was there. The money's not all there. And this is like from their own attestations that they own digital currencies as part of their reserve. So yeah, I not going to say that like I'm an opponent of cryptocurrencies. I just think that the current market is in a bubble and that government regulators need to step in. That's what I think about it. Bitcoin is digital gold, some say. Like the issue is that there are some fundamental problems with gold itself, to be honest with you, right? Especially basing your economy on gold. Like we got away from the gold standard for a reason. I think that a lot of people think that because of the way that it happened, that it was kind of this incremental thing and we were kind of on the gold standard, and then Nixon kind of got rid of it. And there was a lot of economic stuff going on at that time dealing with inflation and so forth. So you kind of get this conspiracy theory sort of a deal with gold, right? But there's a real problems with having your economy based on gold, because a lot of countries own gold. It's like a commodity that can be bought and sold, and it can be manipulated. And so there were a number of crises in the old days, in the 1800s, that like an entire recession was created by another country doing something to gold, right? So we had to get off of it. We straight up did. And here, when you look at Bitcoin, well, like it's the same issues. It's like, can you imagine what would have happened during the pandemic if the US economy was tied to Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin took a huge hit during the pandemic, right? That was, it's so funny that everybody ignores that. But when things were getting at their worst and they were bad, what happened? Cryptocurrencies went down. They behaved as a risk asset and not as a flight to safety asset, right? So the deflationary nature of Bitcoin is such that if you base your whole economy on it, then when the inevitable cryptocurrency bear market comes, your economy cannot recover. It's just a spiral all the way down to the bottom. Most of the mining happens in Russia and China. I believe that 50% of mining happens in China, actually. And that's even after some provinces have banned it. And I think that some of the operations just moved to other provinces. I think that one of the things I hear is that they'll come in and ban mining and confiscate all of the equipment, and then the government just runs the mining operation instead. I've heard of that before too. But there is, the whole thing about what if they ban Bitcoin, I think is an interesting discussion, because the cryptocurrency proponents will say, well, you can't ban Bitcoin. And I mean, they're technically correct, but for all practical purposes, the United States could ban Bitcoin. And again, because of the deflationary nature of the coin, all they would have to do is come in and ban it, and that would practically be the end of it. Why? Because the demand for cryptocurrency is based entirely on speculation and hype. It's going up, so people want it. If it's not going up, nobody wants it. Hence, in 2018, it was like left for dead. Well, not completely left for dead. I always felt like it was still a little bit too much interest than what it was deserved, and then it crashed again. And we called that one. But there's just this huge issue with it. So the United States government comes in, they say, okay, you cannot exchange Bitcoin for US dollars anymore, right? You can't be an exchange anymore. Coinbase goes, right? The only reason that Bitcoin is worth anything is because you can exchange it for dollars. So yeah, you kill its access to the dollar market, it would crash overnight, and then there wouldn't be any reason to own it anymore, and it would be very difficult for Bitcoin to recover, right? Yeah, you could still mine it. I'm sure that ISPs would do things to make that more difficult, and you'd have to do it over a VPN or something. But And yeah, you could still have the wallets and do the transactions and stuff, but you wouldn't be able to transact it for dollars, at least not legally. It would have to all be black market sort of stuff. So that in and of itself would severely hamper the ability to even, use the coin. And so, yeah, it wouldn't be worth as much. It wouldn't be worth even a fraction as much. And so I think that the cryptocurrency enthusiasts always dismiss the idea that the U.S. government could ban it, when the reality is if the U.S. government does ban it, and it is a real possibility in the future after the U.S. government has its own coin out there, that you're going to lose your entire investment, right? I'm mad that I'm mad at myself that when I didn't get the fill at 17.5 and it came back to 16 that I didn't try and scratch it, because I could have scratched it, but it was just unlucky in that particular instance. I think it was a good trade. Or I could have just tried to do for the one tick. That was another one, is I probably should have gone for one tick. I would have made it. Most of the exchanges from dollars to Bitcoin and vice versa. Good point. Bulls believe it will eventually be exchanged for goods and services mostly. Well, yeah. So this is another issue, though, Matt, is that you can't, right? They want it to be digital gold. This is the one that I find absolutely hilarious. Like it really, it boggles the mind when you start to think about it. There's this big argument over the block size. Okay, Bitcoin right now is having a problem with the block size. There are people that are miners that think, oh, well, we will make more money from fees if the block size is small. I mean, they don't say that, but it's straight up that's what it is. Straight up, that's what it is. No question about it, in my mind at least. So they refuse to make the split, and then there's the whole Bitcoin Cash split, right? Which was a huge deal. Well, Bitcoin Cash is doing just fine. You can still transact with it. It works really well. Obviously, it hasn't moved up as much as Bitcoin. It's not nearly as big, but I would say that it's doing well, and I think that the way that that's all gone has proven that they were correct, right? And meanwhile, so you would think that they would go, okay, well, since they proved it out, now we'll switch over. No, they don't want to do that. Because they have an idea about the way that monetary systems work and everything that is just fatally flawed. And it's like you said, it comes back to this digital gold thing. It's like there's problems with gold, guys. There's a reason the United States got away from gold. Okay, so if you take away the ability for you to like really use and transact with the thing, you're really hurting the currency. And I think one of the problems is that they haven't had to face the music because of Tether. Because as far as I can tell, all of the money is coming in through Tether. If you had to bring the money in through Coinbase, through a respected channel, and then, you bought Bitcoin, and then, you literally had to transact with it. So that's another thing, is they got like this, exchange transfer thing so that you can transfer money between exchanges without actually sending it to a wallet, which is hilarious, right? So because of that, they haven't had to face the consequences of it not being useful to transact in. But I would say that it's inevitable that Tether is going to be exposed for what it is, and people are going to realize you can't cash out. And the current crypto market is going to have to come back to a fair value. And then at that point, the limitation will be obvious that, hey, because people can't actually use it, there's a limit to how many people we can actually get to buy this thing just off of speculation. And ergo, we limit our upside value. I think governments will fail to make their fiat currencies more attractive than smart contract digital currencies. No, I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's going to be true at all. So they're working with universities on doing it. It sounds like they want to have smart contracts built into it. The government is, especially the U.S. government, is all about like, we're going to do it right. Like, we're going to have the best currency, and we're doing all of the research and taking our time with it. It is. I think that the US dollar is going to be like better. Right? Like, imagine that world though. It's like, okay, so now the only reason to own Bitcoin is for the speculation, because essentially the US government is going to take the technology argument away, right? What will it be like then at that point? It'll be interesting to watch how they react. I mean, honestly, the cryptocurrency community think everything is good for them, right? Doesn't matter what happens, they think it's good for them. So didn't see any responses to my question in the Jigsaw chat window, so but those are all like very, very far into the future stuff, right? I think that the thing right now is that in June they have to show us what's in their the Tether has to show us what their reserve is made out of. That's the next risk event. And what are they going to do? I'm sure that they will, as they have done in the past. So in the past, they've done things where it's like, they go and they borrow the money and they get it in there just for that one day. And then, well, we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do if they can keep it going. Part of me thinks that maybe they'll get away with it, and that the cryptocurrency market will just never care, and it can just keep going as long as people believe it, I don't have faith in the central bank thieves to produce a digital dollar that competes with open source projects. I do, and I'll tell you why. Because in the past 3 to 5 years that they've been talking about all of these changes that they're going to make in Bitcoin, like the Lightning Network and so on and so forth, it still doesn't work. It works. I guess it works, but there's problems with it, and it's not very well developed, and somebody pulled their money out of it, and the Lightning Network is kind of like a disaster. Open source projects have some advantages, but when you look at it in the cryptocurrency sphere, they are so incredibly slow moving. Like Ethereum, like this whole thing of moving to staking in Ethereum and how long it's taken for Ethereum 2.0 and all that stuff. I think that the government will do it better. I straight up think that they will. I think that the US dollar is going to come out. It's going to have every smart contract feature that you want to have. And it's going to be like, why would you use anything else? And then at that point, everybody will have the incentive to use it. Central banks are unlikely to voluntarily destroy themselves. I mean, you can't get away from it, though. Like, do you understand? Are we on the same page with why Bitcoin could not be the basis of a real economy? Like, there's just a deflationary currency. I guess this other thing is that some people don't believe that inflation is necessary. Like, we have that 2% target for a reason, because that's historically what it's taken, But some people benefit from inflation and some people are hurt by inflation and vice versa. And so there's all this propaganda about it. But people don't understand why central banking became such a necessity and why it's good, and why the way that the Federal Reserve System works as it being a private bank is really smart and effective. Central banks will act, well, that's why they're doing what they're doing. But this is the bigger thing though, Matt, is that people will put off the message. They're trying to say that people are losing faith in the dollar. Okay, the dollar's declining, sure, but the dollar is still high right now. Like the dollar in the 90s is huge. I remember days when it was in the 50s. Like when it started, it started at 50, I believe. Like the dollar is ridiculously strong still. Listen, go back and watch the FOMC press conference where they asked him about it. They have absolutely no concern about people losing faith in the dollar. And I think that his argument makes a lot of sense. I think he's absolutely right. The U.S. dollar is strong because of the strength of American institutions. As many problems as there are, we still have the best democracy in the world. We still have the best military in the world. We have the best economy in the world. And the only thing that comes even close to challenging the supremacy of the U.S. dollar is maybe at some point people will use the yuan, and they've already built their own digital dollar sort of a thing. Except for that, with their digital dollar, you can literally come in and say, okay, now this wallet that you have doesn't work anymore. Who would trust that? What company in their right mind would say, we're going to transact in the Chinese yuan now? Nobody. Only ones that are going to do that are people that are forced to because they want to do business in China, right? No. The dollar will still be top dog because there's no viable alternative. And a cryptocurrency is not going to be a viable alternative because they are deflationary in nature and there's nothing to stop the downward spiral. Central banking is necessary and good. Oof, I'm sorry you lost me. Yeah, it's the truth. I know that some people would love to go and put their money away and just sit on it for decades and then be rich and be able to pay for anything that they want, okay? But there's problems with that. People need to spend money. They need to put it to work in the economy. And so having a little bit of inflation so that people are forced to put their money to work and have that money do something productive is an essential part of a functioning capitalist economy. And when you have that sort of dynamic, there are going to be recessions because that's just a fact of nature, that there are pandemics and famines and all sorts of things. And yes, even they can be created by man-made causes like poor regulation, excessive risk, or even the central bank making a mistake. Yes. But when that happens, what do you do about it? You don't want to have a Great Depression every time where the economy just can't recover for like decades. And yeah, they had a central bank at the time, but they didn't know how to use the tools. Now they realize, there's this natural cycle that happens and we have to manage it. Otherwise, it just gets worse, right? Otherwise, you get like what things were in the 1800s, where every 5 years there was a complete collapse of the economy. Yes, central banking, it's necessary and good. And you don't want to put the politicians in charge of that. This is another thing, is it seems like honestly, I don't think that Ron Paul necessarily wants to get rid of the Federal Reserve. I think that he just wants to be able to make the decisions. Like maybe Ron Paul really does truly believe in a dollar, but I think that a lot of those politicians that push that stuff, they're just mad that they're not the ones that make the call. You know what I mean? You're saying the world needs a liquid, fast intermediary of exchange from a stable, trustworthy government, and that, sir, is the U.S. dollar. There you go. Well, I'm not saying just that. I'm saying that in order to have your currency has to be managed to be able to deal with recessions. You have to have something that you can modify the supply of it. Now, you could do it with a cryptocurrency. And I think there's been some really interesting experiments that challenge that. Okay, so like, what is it called? DAI. Yeah, DAI. They have this whole thing where there's two currencies, there's two Ethereum contracts that have created, and the people owning it kind of set things, and if they screw up, then they lose their staking, so they have an incentive to be responsible and stuff. I don't know about how that would really play out, but it's an interesting idea. But at least they understand the problem, that when you have a recession, you have to have something that's counter-cyclical. And how do you do that? The only way that you can do that is if you have an asset that you can manage with discretion. I'm seeing a tweet from Zero Hedge here saying that Ethereum has reached 3,500, by the way. So when I was looking at it, it looked to me like the altcoin market was a little undervalued here. As crazy as Bitcoin is at 5,500 and everything, and it would need to come down considerably. But when I look at most of the altcoins, I see like it's just like they're all dead. It's like a lot of them, people just don't use them and they're just trading them. On a lot of them, they are used and there is a lot of blockchain activity, but their price is just like gone nowhere. 3 minutes to open, yes. White House Economic Advisor Bernstein does not discuss whether Biden will renominate Fed's Powell. Well, because they won't. I don't think they will. I think that they'll replace him. Well, the E-mini is looking okay for a recovery going into the open. Like I see a trade, but I don't like the amount of first I have to put on to do it. Okay, so here's the open. There was a little chomping at the bit going into it. Actually, a lot of volume both ways. Actually, slightly a little bit more selling on the open, but the initial move up. The play that I want to make here is on the gap, so I want to see them come up probably to at least the 80s. Especially since with the headline that appears to have moved them shouldn't matter. So we buy the dip, right?
Block buy.
Okay. Amazon down 9% from its blowout earnings high last Thursday. Wow, really? Yeah, it was so they say that was a block buy at 16.5. Oh, really? Huh. That was a bad fill. Okay, so good move off of the open. It's going to come back. It's a little bit of absorption right there. Okay, and now the Bears are going to have their chance, huh? Okay. It's pretty messy at the moment. Oh, Gabby took one and it didn't work? Oh. That's sad. Poor Gabby. If it flushes big time, well, we could still see some flush at the moment, though. It looks okay. Or at least just below the open, they're battling it out, so we shall see. I'm trying to make a relatively gutsy call for me that we're not on a tail and that we're going to mean revert here, which means back up to 4180. Watching Grogu use the Force to ring the opening bell on the nicey is the cutest thing. Wait, that happened? That happened? That was a thing? What? Maybe another video will pop up. That one was the Periscope link and it wasn't working anymore. Grogu hitting the opening bell of the nicey sounds like the most 2021 thing that could ever happen. You know what? You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be one of those things that, like, 10 years from now, you're going to think back on, like, okay, well, like, that's what pop culture was like back then. A little bit of volume there in the 66 area. It looks like I got screwed in the treasuries again, huh? Yeah. Well, I keep trying to take one based on the queue and my anticipation that it's going up and not necessarily because I see a spread opportunity, so. Okay. Yeah, pretty tight battle there at the 65 area. By the way, in what it all said and done off of that big spike up and then moved down, the cumulative delta did decline. So we should note that. I don't think that that's particularly great, but still chopping in that area. Okay. My eyes twitching a little bit today, which is weird because I felt like I got a pretty good night's rest. I don't feel sleepy at all today, so maybe it was a combination of things. I think a part of it was the room was really warm yesterday. So I fixed that and made sure that the doors were open and really got aired out. Well, interesting. I'm gonna have to bail here. Yep, flat. Oh, wrong button. Right there. So they're pushing down. I see a lot of absorption in here. It kind of looks like they're trying to buy the dip, but I think that tactically for me, the way that I play it, it's not working out. I'm still kind of on the experimental side. Should have tried to reduce my risk on that a little bit first. So we'll go back into this again. We'll just do one contract. Let's wait a little bit. Let's see here. Breaking, JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon predicting a post-pandemic economic boom, but he's also saying unless we are lucky, we are going to get inflation for a number of reasons, including QE, pent-up consumer spending, and lots of government spending, and we aren't deleveraging like 2008. Okay. If not, it can be a bad... Yeah, it could be a bad red day. You're right. Like, it's either... The setup that we get here is like either mean reversion back to 4180 or completely falling apart to the downside. The issue is I don't necessarily see anything to directly suggest that should happen, but we're certainly seeing the order flow that some people see it, so... Now, really? So I tried to get it at 16 and I didn't get the fill. I should just hit into it because I knew it was coming. Okay, so that time they came through, I'm seeing the treasuries like turn into full on risk off mode. Let's see here. You do get news at the top of the hour. What about the currencies? Well, gold and silver are moving up. 6J's kind of come back off. Dollar's still trending down. It's putting the squeeze on him again. That pretty good decline now, huh? Yeah, there's a big, huge old monster order down there, isn't there? 4150 and a half. Okay, so I'm looking at numbers 4139, downside, upside 4190. So Thick's actually giving us a decent amount of room here, aren't they? Corn hits $7 a bushel. Are they leading today? Yes, they are. Corn 3%. Soybeans 1%. Oil 1%. 1.25%. Copper break even. Everything else down. NQ the most down. 1.39. Followed closely by the RTY. Oh, and Bitcoin down 2.37%. But who cares? Bitcoin's percentage move is always bigger. So. Well, it's showing me like buy the dip again, but I've got to like. The way that this is chomping at the bit, I don't think that I can buy this. Tick going extreme now, negative 800 and rising down. Why are there big inflows into ETF equity funds and lower overall equity and equity option trading? Well, I think what you're going to see overall win right now is that we've had such a big rise, and it looks like that the actual like money printer has slowed down a little bit, and we're actually getting into the recovery. And so there's going to be a lot of people saying it's priced in, essentially, is what happens. And so maybe I should have moved that one. That's okay. I can just do it again. We got to watch the ZB. The ZB is like the one, right? I hope you're catching that, Uzi.
Block by.
Oof. The index is falling apart here. Whew, what did I say? $40. We'll call it 41.40. There have definitely been a couple of times where I'm like, you should just buy it, dude. And I don't. I'm kind of feeling like I can do the as she goes, the one tick winner. Probably I could base my strategy just off of that. I can recall some times though where that didn't work very well. Sure would be working well today though. Jeez. Okay, the equities are still just, yeah. Jeez. Look at that. So that one's going to fill. Boom. Probably could have moved it up. Maybe not. So when you see one like that, that's a little clue right there, especially the ZB came back 3 ticks. So see them try it again. Are you going to do the level break again? All right. I'm game. Let's do it. I haven't seen the treasuries have as flow as positive as this in years. Matt Flow says equities are ugly. Yeah. E-mini, you ugly. You dishonor your family with your ugliness. Yeah, that one's not going to work. The ZB fell back too far. I should just take my lick now. Curious. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'll do it again. Nope, bad film. Bad fill. They getting thick over here. So I feel much more strongly about this one. So I'm gonna close that, switch accounts. Oof. Yeah, missed it. Missed it, but I had the right idea. Mini getting volatile there. They're trying to dig it out. It's being hard. How much did we come down? About 15,000? Oh, look at that. That's not what you want to see. A really good shove, and then it gets rejected fast. I don't not necessarily think that means anything like we'll make a new low or anything. It's just like really frustrating, right? There's another new low. For the moment, it looks a little weak, but look at the flow here. 8,746 absorbed at 132.20. $10K. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen a 10K reload at the top, man. Good. So that one, you might be able to justify moving it, but there's an iceberg there at 20.5, so I think that for me, it's probably better not to. There's just a lot exchanging hands here. So like this one, okay, so now they're there, 20.5, 600 by 3,000, and like 3,000 doesn't seem like that big, but look at the level 2 here. It's 2,000 at every level. It used to be 4,000 at every level. Somebody has exited. That doesn't mean that it's going to stop, but it kind of looks to me like maybe somebody exited the market there. Oh, look at that. Pretty bullish. Well, when I look at my E-mini trades, they're terrible because I'm trying to buy. And when I look at my treasury trades, they're pretty awesome. So maybe I should just be sticking to my treasuries here. It wasn't me, was it you, Keller? I think he got upset when I told him, "Have I taught you nothing? Don't FOMO." He's mad. He was mad because he think he could have been a millionaire. But you gotta understand that part of it is the millionaires distributing and getting out too early that allows it to go up. Sometimes people say, well, I wish that I had held it, you know? Well, if you had held it, it would have turned out differently. Ooh, okay, so now below 40, we must consider the next step, which would be 13. Okay. It's a little slow on the draw there. Okay. There's a tiny bit of a spread that had formed there. I don't know if 20.5 to 21 still makes sense. Nope. Nope. Ah. Well, somebody's shoving it there. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you see him? Somebody's coming in with waves of buying, trying to shove it back up, but then look, they're gonna bury him. Dollar coming down here a little bit. The dollar has been interesting through this. By the way, silver and gold, whoosh, taking off. New highs for silver, 27 spot 21. I'm happy. I'm happy about my silver trade. Oh, look at that. You see that? That is something that wants to just squeeze a little bit higher, man. So hard for me to know how much higher it's going to go. It's kind of in line. This is kind of, I don't see. Yeah, okay. This one might be a tough one, but. Nope. Well, let's just close that one. NASDAQ's equities look like that. I really feel like they want to turn. I just realized here when I'm taking these over in the E-mini, like these are like total YOLO risk calls. I have no clue what it's going to do here. It sure seems to me like the spot where they should turn, but cool. Oh, darn. Wait, what happened there? Did I? Okay, I'm going to cancel it because something did not. I screwed up. I made a mistake there on the 10 years somehow. I don't know what I did wrong, but it should have gotten me out at 22.5 and it didn't. I must have had another order sitting out there and didn't realize it. Here they go. Well, that was definitely one of the strongest bars we've seen. I'm wondering if the E-mini does recover and the treasuries decide to come back. First of all, how far back are they going to come? Second of all, what's the spread going to do? So at the moment, they look a little... Okay. Wow, really? This action over here in the E-mini is going to make me seasick. Then why are you taking the trade? I over here in the E-mini, it's gambling. I'm totally guilty, Kevin. The problem is that in my mind, I'm so certain that at one of these spots it's gonna flip back up, you know. But I know that if I was trading my live account, and that's not a live trade, just keep that in mind, right? That trying to trade this down move would be suicide. It would be either like you caught the initial move down, like when it broke 4160, and you took your profit somewhere, or you watching it, you know? Because we know once we get into these tails that scalping the equity indexes seems to be really difficult no matter what you do. It's like there's always going to be this reversion trade that I'm trying to catch that will look really amazing when you catch it, but the amount of risk that you have to put on to do it always seems to be too much. Okay, that one finally worked out the way that I wanted it to. That one did not. Well, now we can test to see if my it looks like that the treasuries are flipping back and forth a good 4 ticks based on what the E-mini is doing. So let's see if they go for a new low. No fill. There's always a third option, stay flat. Okay, well, if this last one in the E-mini doesn't work out, I won't touch the E-mini anymore. I want to continue trying over here in the bonds, but we should just keep in mind that in the bonds, it's an experimental trade, and I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I have made a lot of mistakes, right? We can go back and there's a couple of that I missed, and there's a couple that I took dice or scratched. Oh, that blue candle looks super strong again. Knowing this market, though, is just going to flip right back down to the low again after we're all like, it's over. Oh, it finally got me there on the treasury. They are thickening up a little bit again. Remember, it kind of dropped to 2,000, and now they're back to putting 4,000s up. Yeah, sure enough, the blue candle is completely erased by an orange candle immediately afterwards. Vlad is actually long the ES? Oh my. That doesn't happen very often, guys. No, they went for it and they didn't take it. And that turned back up really quickly. Let's see if they can hold that. Vlad says it's gambling. I'm probably going to stop out. It is. But this is a thing that, like, I'm realizing is that, well, not that I'm realizing, but I mean, we've always known this, but that I want to explore more is strategies where the way that you make money is largely off of just trying to take on the risk, right? So, like, I've spent so much time trying to find predictive signals. Well, I think that when I look at what I've got over here in the treasury, with some practice, I think that I can get that. I think I can get that. So that one doesn't have as much allure to me anymore because it's like I feel like if I figured it out that you really just can't rely on past data much at all, and you've just got to look at the current data and arbitrage, find a mispricing essentially, right? So then it goes back to okay, but there are some people that claim to make money off of various things that I'm always like, well, that's not necessarily a good idea, right? Well, clearly, if you have like a large stop or you're swinging it, whatever the deal is, you can make money doing that. But the issue is just how do you deal with the tail risk events? And that's something that I've struggled with. So the thing that is interesting to me now is when we get into these kinds of moments, how do you manage it? Okay, so that takes us positive. I'm going to take a few off there. Should have put it in earlier. It'd already be out, but I think we're going to be okay. Just I see the absorption there at 41.46, right? I never got filled. I had the trade right on that one. Man, they dumped fast in the treasury, didn't they?
Kevin Wimmer says, what is this stop you are talking about?
Now that one. So I was right that I get filled at 20, but I don't know how I like it that I got filled. Okay. There we go.
Kevin Wimmer says the best strategy is stop equals margin call.
Whoa, you see that 41.45? Holy crapola. Yeah, that's not that huge. 1,500 still. I think they trade him. Let's see a collision. Come on. Go for it. Go for it. That sucks. The 10-year. Oh, he pulled. He pulled. What a load of shit. So he sold a little bit there and then stacked at 41.45 again. Hit him. Hit him. Come on. No. I think one of the problems I'm having over here in the 10-year, because really we want this to be 70%. It's been more 50-50, is I'm not catching the 5-year as much. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was a bad fill. Right into the wall. I do think I'm seeing it right in that the spread came back. I guess I'm just trying too hard. I don't like today. You got to admit that it's a pretty wild move out of nowhere, right? Especially that whole thing with like the big down move be an hour before, the treasury market opened. Like, what the hell was with that? Like to play the daily average range for. I'm using these VIX targets, so they tend to be pretty effective. That's why I keep saying, like, I'm pretty sure that you're gonna see some degree of a pullback here in the E-mini. I do think that there's more in it. I don't know if they'll completely recover this or not, but it's just they're in the right spot. Tesla 668 now. So if we do get a bounce, we should go back at the end of the day, keep track of, okay, there were some that, obviously everything went down, but like some recovered better than others, and would be paying attention to if Tesla and ARK recover their losses as well as others. Worked. So that's 2 losers in a row there, but that was, let's see here. So those cancel, plus 1, minus 1, minus 2, break even, those cancel, minus 2. So it's not bad in the treasury, but clearly not performing the way that we want it to. Like we did yesterday, for instance. A 10-point bounce can be yeah, it's true. So I'm saying, like, I know that 4140 was a VIX target, and we got some stop outs down there and slippage, and that kind of becomes a vacuum, and it makes it a pretty good spot for a reversal. Now you can have like bad excursions against it and everything else like that. So for scalping it again, it's like super hard. But like if you were to swing and hold pretty good risk, I think that you could go and you could say,
I'll let it go down 10 points and I want it to come back 20 points. You would probably get a good trade. So like 41.60 on the way back up. Oh, I forgot about the numbers that were at the top of the hour. What were those? Factory orders, 1 spot, 7%. Okay, so we got some slips there. Yep. A little bit of a saw there in the E-mini that we might want to keep an eye on. Okay. Oops. That was bad. That's okay. I canceled the wrong order. But when it came back up and I saw the absorption, then I was like, okay. The baby is screaming at the top of his lungs. My wife is screaming back at him.
So Seller's trying to have their little excursion, but don't know if it's happening. You can't hear him? Well, that means that the microphone, the dynamic microphone, is doing its job. I'm about to cancel all my Zoom meetings. Diamond said I'm done with it. What? Jamie Diamond says he's fed up with Zoom calls and remote work, says commuting to offices will make a comeback. Okay. Probably. Bad Phil. That one's really bad. Matt says that he can hear him. Well, they left now. So it kind of looks to me like the Treasury's turning a little bit risk off again. Ticking up because the E-mini had a pretty decent 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty decent like 5-minute downturn. But that could be like a high or low sort of a thing. It could, if the buyers really pull something out here. So that is going to be a pivot. So watch here in 10 seconds. See what flow comes through. Okay. I would say not really. Should just keep in mind that there's still like the 47, 46 area. So if they get sucked back up in here, there's just the vortex. So it might not immediately flip through and up, but if it does, that could mean like full recovery, right? Let's read this zero hedge story because other people on Twitter are pointing it out now. It could get weird. Stocks puke as extreme negative gamma strikes. Just late February, when we had 2021's first inflation scare come Trump Treasury tantrum, tech is breaking down and look no further than Amazon for the evidence in just 3 days since reporting blowout Q1 earnings, which sent its stocks to new all-time highs. Amazon stock is down over 9% and is on the verge of a correction. Other FANGs, most notably Apple, which had just as impressive of a quarter, are not faring any better. However, unlike late February when tech was monkey-hammered largely due to sharply higher yields, this time there's a double whammy of dealers caught in a self-reinforcing negative gamma trap as spot gamma rose overnight. Pulse, SPY, and QQQ remain in negative gamma territory, which implies higher relative volatility. Nomura's resident asset expert Charlie Migueliet picks on this and in a note this morning writes that while there's nothing exceedingly bulky or whale-like by itself, there has been a pickup with broad volatility gamma selling from clients in recent weeks. Okay, cool. Got filled there. That one's still at the threes. Well, let me come back a little bit. This has shown via standard overrider flows in single stocks and index, but also to the systematic strangle selling mentioned in the press last week, which looks like the odd lottish flows and ratios that trade 3 to 4 times a week. And while there is a separate daily overrider program on once a month straddles, for example, all of which have contributed to what has been a very long gamma dynamic for dealers. And that's stuck S&P for about 3 weeks, pinging around the gravity of the big strikes at 4150 to 4200, yes. The percentile rank of overall gamma magnitude across U.S. equities has come off after recent expirations. However, NASDAQ and QQQs continue to be the epicenter of how broad index movement could get, with negative 435 million gamma, which is extremely negative at just 3.8% percentile. Okay. Needless to say, negative QQQ gamma plus a tech sell-off equals an explosive combination, and as Migueliet summarizes with this extreme negative gamma in QQQ, we see dealers increasingly moving into short gamma versus spot territory as well. Tech's inability to break out higher has crippled sentiment, as the Nomura quant concludes, following what had been a strong recovery in April for the tech sector and secular growth. In the stabilization of U.S. Treasuries and relative bull flattening off the extremes of the March rates sell-off, our Nomura sector sentiment analysis shows that I don't know what WOW stands for, World of Warcraft. Okay, we have seen tech sector sentiment collapse again with an 85 percentile score a week ago, but today printing down at 53.9. Good morning, Sergio. With reflation scares dragging tech lower, it is likely to get worse, not better, due to the connection between legacy, duration, proxy, tech sector, secular growth as we enter the next 2 months of peak U.S. economic database effect. With this week's heavy U.S. data slate accumulating in the critical Friday non-farms payroll, which is expected to be a monster print. Early indications point to a 1.5 million jobs number and is set to spark more reflation selling and dictate the timing of Fed tapering. The only silver lining for now is that the broader SPX SPY remains long gamma as long as we stay above 40.74.19. Yeah, even with this favorable gamma profile, this tech's revulsion spreads dragging NASDAQ lower. It is starting to hit broader indexes such as the S&P and the Russell, which just below its 50-day moving average. Which happens next? According to Migueliet, the key macro catalyst will the maintenance of loose U.S. financial conditions into market sensitivities around the eventual taper, with GS financial conditions notably printing an all-time easy levels as stock printed all-time highs. Yeah. Finally, with Treasury yields unlikely to make any major moves, especially with the real yields remaining so deeply negative, McElliott expects that focus will pivot to the US dollar as a potential fly in the ointment, where higher dollar could act as a financial conditions negative, and sure enough today, see the Dixie squeezing meaningfully higher. Well, yeah, so they went from 90.9 to 91.3. Did see some favorable upside action there and came back a little bit. I'm still sitting flat here in the Treasury. Well, that news story didn't necessarily tell us anything that we didn't already know. It was just more detail. I'm still kind of sitting here like, what caused that sell-off before? But like, it must be like that's the sell-off, and then we're below 70, and then the dealers have to take the gem off, and that's why we get this move down, right? So the one thing in terms of our, take on risk strategies, I don't know if risk premium is really the correct thing to call it, because risk premium means so much more in portfolio theory, and like you're just going to search for that. It's going to be like, yeah. But if we're going to do a strategy that takes on risk, I think that doing the campaigning sort of a thing is definitely part of it. That having taken it there several times, and I guess I kind of already missed my spot. Taking on a little bit of risk at the beginning, then taking it off as it goes, and then being able to let it run seems to be really effective. And I've been doing that for a while. I think I need to probably sort out some technical details about what really is the best way to play that sort of a thing, though. Did you want me to remind you that we need to close at the top of the hour, 15-minute? Well, yes, thank you. Always at 9 o'clock. Usually we would have at 9:30, but we had to move my morning meeting because somebody else on the team. So move the morning meeting. We got to end at half hour earlier. It's okay. Remember when we used to end at 8:30? Those days, pre-pandemic. Oh yeah, well, how did our robots do? I think that Gabby took one. Yeah, Gabby got hurt today. Not too bad. Only one bad trade. Maybe we keep her going. Maybe she get something. She might get along here. No, those are actually all going to be shorts. I kind of want to change Gabby a little bit though, because something that I've noticed. So this is really weird, but like, how can I explain this? So sometimes you get these moves, right? It's coming down and it goes up really, really fast, right? So when you get a really, really fast move like that with tons of market buying going into it, then you'd think that if you were somebody that was short or you had limit orders short up and through here, right, that you would be like, oh crap, and you would want to pull your orders. And so you should end up with like a gap in somewhere in this area where a price didn't trade because all of the orders pulled, right? And then so the offers pulling would kind of be a bullish sign to some extent, because that basically means that the market makers determined that strong up move was enough to pull their orders, right? But what I found is it'll actually often be the other way. So it'll go up really strong like this. That doesn't cause them to pull. And then there is a reverse reaction. And then on the reverse reaction, there is a pull. And so then you get bids that pulled. And so you buy that. So when I look at my chart, it's blue, suggesting a buy here. But really, when you realize how that ends up being created, is it really that useful? So it's like it's definitely a good spot. It's definitely a spot worth watching. But how do you determine the direction out of that? Because the kind of the issue is you're going to tend to get stuck there. So do you want to buy it on it coming back, or do you want to sell it on it coming back? And I don't think that my current setup is really effective enough for this. Well, let's change that. And also, I'll turn on the computer here. Okay. By the way, how are we doing on the stream here today? Only 9 likes. Oh, come on. I wasn't that terrible. May the 4th. And now tech markets down as tech route continues. Tech drags markets lower. Yeah, still haven't seen any good setup in the treasuries here since. Oh, they're going to go over those lows again? You know what? They may actually break a new low and then reverse again. Let's watch. I think if they touch a new low, there's going to be some upset people. No Star Wars puns? Not even. I mean, I don't know. Like, honestly, when we really think about it, we should be going, what would people be searching for on YouTube that, the person that we want to come and watch our videos? But I'm not really sure. I'm Wookiee disappointed. Well, it came down there pretty aggressively. Well, I wouldn't even necessarily say aggressively. It just got sucked down there, per se. Now it's a little quiet down here at the bottom. Treasuries are not bidding up like they're super scared. They are up a tick, though. dancing around here because they know if they turn back up, then that's like an outright buy. Not sure that once live streaming is finished with trading that anyone goes back to watch anything we do here. Actually, you'd be surprised. Probably we should change them earlier, huh? Probably with better title while we're streaming would be better, huh? But you're right that people find the channel largely through the educational videos, which I haven't been making any of them. Seth. I believe my wife will be home next weekend though, so that might be the time to do it. So let me come back here and judge this whole thing. So 1, -2, 0, -1, -2, -1, -2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3. So my last 3 ticks overall. Some of them are actually double, so it actually comes out to be positive. But if they were all one contract, it would be different. Overall, though, that's like 50% win rate, right? As you see this area right there at 43, held it. Well, I will see what happens. I've got to get going. So I will see you guys tomorrow. We got to work on this. I need to do a little bit more investigation in the treasuries over here. But hey, I will see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.